Welcome to the PBC, Pelican Bay's Corner. Today we got some topics to talk about when it comes to the dog community. Big shout out to the brothers and sisters down in the chat, everybody that's watching the video. Like I always say, they watch the past videos. We just gonna get straight into it. Hope everybody having a great day. We're just gonna get straight into it today. We're gonna be talking about and big shout out to the brothers on these other platforms that start these topics to talk about or whatever. If your puppy curves out at a puppy, if your puppy curves out from the littermates, being with the littermates, can he become that dog? Can he become a great dog later on in the future? And that's what we're going to be talking about. Before I get into that, I want to touch on the topic what we were speaking about last time about the being a grand champion and have to go against a grand champion to become a grand champion and all this type of stuff. One brother made a comment and said, why would you go in as a grand champion? Why would you go into anything less? And I can agree with that. As a grand champion, why would you go into anything less? But at the same time, you don't question your competition. You got a bulldog, you give it to them how they want it. That's the way I look at it. Everybody don't look at it the same. I can have if you're just looking to get that grand champion title and close the deal, then it is what it is. Then you go find you a grand champion to go into. See, that's another thing. I'm glad you said that, brother, because that opens up another can of worms. If you're going to say, why would you go into anything less than a champion or a grand champion? If you're going to say that, then why won't you say, as a four-time winner, as a two-time winner going for his champion, why don't you say you look for the country's top champion in that weight class during that time? If you're a two-timer going for your championship show, why don't you take your time, look for the country's number one champion, number one ranked champion, and go into that dog to get your championship? Why don't you do that? When you're going to get your fifth, why didn't you look for the number one champion at 45, at 40, 45, 46, whatever your weight is, 35? The dog that's going for his grand champion or either a grand champion. So you can get your grand champion title, So, it can go both ways, man. A brother will say, like I said, why would you take a grand champion into anything less? The same reason why they'll do the stuff that I just said. Take a two-timer into something less than a champion. Take a four-timer into something less than a grand champion. Without actually, see, we can cherry pick to get us and I'm going to say it like this. We like to cherry pick to find weaker competition, but you don't want to cherry pick to go to the best. You know what I'm saying? You know how to find the best of the best, at least what public opinion of what the best of the best is. But you would cherry pick and go to some bullshit, So like I said, man, I agree with you, brother. Why would you go into anything less with a grand champion? And that's why I said before, when you was doing these things back in the 90s, it would kind of be hard to make your dog a grand champion without actually, in 5 contests, without actually going into a dog that's already a champion or a grand champion already. You got to be ducking and dodging and weaving and bobbing and all kind of stuff to make grand champion, and you only went into one-time winners, two-time winners. Maybe he going for his championship show and you stopped him. You got to be ducking and bobbing and weaving for that to happen like that. Other than that, you're going to bump into some grand champions. Maybe a little early in your career, you might bump into a grand champion. They're trying to get his grand champion or trying to get his 6th or 7th, And this is another thing, If you got 6 or you got 7, are you going to only go into grand champions from that point on? You done got your grand champion title. Now, if you roll that dog 5 more times, 6, 7 more times. From what you telling me, you should only go into grand champions. Number 6, grand champion. Number 7, grand champion. Number 8, grand champion. Number 9, grand champion. Number 10, grand champion. Everything you go in after you win your grand champion title should be nothing but grand champions. From what that brother said. You know, you go into the competition that steps up. That's all it is to it, man. You know, you can't always say the dog that's going to be a champion or a grand champion you're going into. Just so happen he is in a lot of cases. Because it don't take, what, 3 wins to get a champion? You know? So a lot of cases you will get you a champion before you get to become a grand champion. You'll get to go up into a champion at least. But when these brothers start going grand champion so-and-so, and you're looking for a show, I can name a grand champion right about now. You know, that went into a dog lesser caliber, title-wise, not lesser caliber, performance-wise, but title-wise, he was a lesser caliber dog because he was only a champion, you know. And I'm not sure if he was a champion after the show because he won or a champion before the show. He could have been a 4-timer going for his grand champion. I didn't hear anybody call him a grand champion at this point. So that means he's still a champion. That means he had to been either a 3, a 2, a 3, and went to his 4th. He couldn't have been a 4 already because he would have been considered a grand champion once he would have won his 4th. So that's why I told y'all before. All that money brothers want to put on these bets. They say you got high quality, oh, this the dog of the decade, dog of the decade. Why the dog of the decade that's a grand champion not looking for only grand champions to go into? You see? Now, that'll be more impressive to the pit bull world than the money. See, the money gonna be impressive to you because you can spend it, of course. No doubt. I totally understand that. But if you look at a dog and you say, oh, all right, we're going to use the dogs that they say got 9 wins, 10 wins, and stuff like that. Like Meters, I want to say a dog is Meters Lemonhead. It's about a 11 or 12-time winner. Now, after 5 shows, if you look at his record and they say he beat 7 grand champions after that 5th one, what if this dog is a 12-time winner, he beat 1-timers, 2-timers, no champions, no grand champions. He made it to be a 5-time winner. He ain't beat no champions, no grand champions. Only 1s and 2s. Now that he's a grand, he went 7 more times and beat all grand champions. From the 5th, which was the 6th, from the 6th on to the 12th, all grand champions. That's way more impressive than, oh, this dog, he's a champion, but he won 100,000. You know, that impresses the pit bull community more than the 100,000 does. Because the 100,000 real bulldoggers know the money you won on the dog don't have anything to do with the caliber of dog that you got. You know? Same thing if you saying, oh, he a 5-time winner, and every single dog that he beat was either a champion or a grand champion. That's going to be impressive. It's going to look impressive on your resume for you to have a lot of grand champions and champions in your for your defeats or whatever, but it ain't mandatory. And everybody don't live by that code to say, oh, I'm going to take my grand champion into another grand champion. You know, folk just take the competition how it come. If you feel like you want to bring it, you know, they consider that easy money. Brothers won't even tell you what dog you're going into. They're not telling you you got, oh, grand champion iPhone coming against you. They're not going to say that. Oh, you just want to go in at 35. So you hook that 35 for whatever you hook for. You don't know you're going into that particular dog. And they just add, if he win, they just put that on iPhone's resume. Oh, 6-time winner, oh, 7-time winner, you know, double grand champion. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But let's get to this topic, man. When your dog is curved out or puppy is curved out by his little mate, will that affect him later on down the line? And I heard several different answers for this particular question, you know, and this is more of an opinionated question, answer rather, you know. This is more of an opinionated answer to what, you know, what I'm gonna lay out for you. Because a lot of people I heard gave answers. You speaking about 5-month-old puppies. See, 5 months old, in my opinion, 5 months old is too old to be having dogs still together. You know, that's too old. And that's why I tell brothers, you know, if you're waiting on the little mates to curve the dog out, if they don't do it by the time they 4, 5, 6 weeks old, they ain't gonna do it with me because I'm separating my dogs. I don't have my dogs together when they 3 and 4 months old. You know, they're big enough to be out on their own then. My dogs are. I can't speak for yours, you know. Now, I always say this. You can teach young dogs bad habits. You can teach young dogs bad habits. And another thing, just because your dog won when he's a 2 or 3 month old puppy, don't mean when he get a year old, he's still gonna be cranked up. You got dogs that go totally cold. You didn't see him do nothing as a grown dog, but as a little hand puppy, 2 or 3 months old, he was crazy as hell. He was curring the litter out. And I've seen this as well too. Yeah, he curved his little mate out. And we talking about the little mate that got curved really today. We're not talking about the one that did the curve, but I've seen this. He curved his little mate puppy out, and then you take him to a puppy he don't know, he won't do a lick. Look like he ain't got a bit of spunk in him. So what you call that? Is he cold dog? You know, because he start off on a little mate, does that mean he's on fire? You take him out to another dog, he won't do shit. You take him out that pen he in and take him to a whole nother puppy off a whole nother litter that he never seen before, he won't do nothing. So what's that called? You know, you can't, in my opinion, you can't count that little puppy stuff. You know, but when you start getting a dog 5 and 6 months old, 7 months old, 8 months old, and don't get this wrong, you know, because, you know, he get curved out. If you still got the litter together, and because the other puppies in the litter maybe curring them out, you know, why would you leave them there that long? You know, why would you leave them there to that point if you know they fighting like that? Now, yeah, we're going to always have somebody that say, oh, I had got the sorriest dog off the litter. This dog was getting curved out, and he ended up becoming a grand champion. You're going to always have people to say that, you know, but I know for a fact, in an opinionated topic that we're talking about, for a fact that you can teach young dogs bad habits. Now, some of the bad habits might be quitting, turning, learning how to get out of a bad situation where he feel like it's a bad situation. You can teach puppies bad habits. Puppies learn. So if you trying to keep the puppies in there intentionally and you trying to leave them in there 5 or 6 months old, hoping you could pick the best one out, then hey, you might be screwed up because you might ruin a good dog, and then you might not, the dog that you think is so good might not turn out to be shit. You know, you can't, in my opinion, you just can't go by that, you can't go by that puppy stuff, you know, with the litter mates. Now you can take the puppies and you can look at the ones you think, you know, when I'm talking about, like, say you picking out a puppy to keep or something. Now you should be able to have the eye to know what you're looking for in a puppy. But don't go by that damn puppy getting curved out stuff, because I done seen it too many times. These brothers, they want puppies that start early. They want puppies that 2 or 3 months old and 4 or 5 months old. They doing everything they need to be doing, like a lot of the Eli dogs. And a lot of times, some of these dogs be sorry as hell when they get a year and a half, a year and so many. They be broken down already. Ruin is what I said. The best thing for some of these puppies is to not open their mouth. In some people's yards, not open their mouth. Don't have any aggression yet. Because the more aggression some of these puppies show with the wrong kind of dog men, they get ruined, they get destroyed. You can't stop doing them. Every time somebody bring a puppy or a dog over, you wanna, oh, I got something for him, bring him on. Dog ain't even a year old yet, and you done he done got balbesia already. A lot of y'all don't even, you hear about balbesia, but you don't know how serious balbesia is. You don't understand what Pelican Bay say when I said I would practice and train my dogs with clean dogs. I didn't mean clean of dog piss or dog shit. I mean clean as in the only thing that they was bumping was other puppies or dogs on my yard that haven't been bumped off the yard yet. Balbesia is too easy to contract. And it don't show up like your parvo or like your other diseases may show up right then and hit right then, and you get instant effects. Your dog start going downhill as soon as he get it. That ain't how balbesia work. And when you got a puppy that comes up and he's not even a year old yet, and he done went against this man dog on his yard. He done went against this man dog on his yard. He done went against this one. You can almost guarantee that you done been exposed to balbesia if you don't got it. And what's the chances that you're gonna be exposed to balbesia and not have it on your dog or in your dog? So when it comes to puppies being curved out, I always, I'm gonna say it. I don't think that's the end of it for that puppy. If he's curved out as, say, 2 months old and the other puppies is beating him up, nah, you just separate that puppy. Let him find himself. Some puppies got to find themselves to when they become adult dogs. And then you have brothers who, I told y'all, they do what you call, I'm trying to see the word for it. It's basically you training this dog to beat these puppies up. You grooming a certain dog. You may have one that you start liking, right? Take a liking to. And you see he's more aggressive than other puppies. Now, you grooming this dog right here to beat these puppies up when, like I said before, that dog might not even be the best dog. You just gotta, have an eye for these dogs, have an eye for what you're trying to get in your dogs or what you're trying to get in your program. You will ruin a dog if you take them out there rolling them as a puppy. You can do it. The chances of ruining one is way more higher that you're gonna ruin them than turn them into a good dog when you're out there doing this and doing that as puppies with the dog, instead of letting the dog get some age on him and grow and mature and become the dog that he's supposed to be. More people ruin dogs than letting them mature. And that's a fact. That's why a lot of people don't buy dogs if they're not early starters. Oh, I want them to be acting like this at a certain age. I want them to be acting like that at a certain age. Instead of letting the dog become a dog and then put him into his physical activities once he found himself. So I'm more on that, man. Like I said, I done seen it both ways. I done seen curves from puppies. And can you even call a puppy saying he curved out from his littermates? He just don't want to fight his particular littermate. Now, I will say this to y'all brothers that's letting these puppies roll, and they both rolling, full throttle rolling, both of them shaking and locking, and you let that other puppy stop and start running and start turning and all that other stuff. Yeah, you teaching them bad habits. You teaching them how to lose. You teaching them how to be a loser. Back in my days. It's what you call ruining one. A brother can ruin a dog before he even gets 6 months old. And now you want to sell him off to somebody and you done ruined the dog. You know, oh, you done rolled him, you done seen this and you done seen that. Not saying the dog won't be a great dog in the future. But your chances is slim compared to you waiting till that dog mature. You waiting till that dog find himself. Your chances is very, very slim. You know, you do get, like I said, you do get times where the sorriest puppy becomes the best puppy later on down the line. And you get times with a dog that's kicking all the puppies' ass. You got whole litters that's turned on, right? I done seen this whole litter turned on. All of them acting great. Whole litter. Same thing like I said before. Once they get about close to a year old, 8, 9, 10 months old, you put them on something else outside of that litter, they don't want to do nothing at all. You know, so, I mean, to each his own. Me, myself, I've never been the one to sit there and watch my puppies, even back in the days, in the 90s. You know, I've never been the one to sit there and watch my puppies curry each other out. Yeah, I may have let some of them roll with each other, but never currying them out, you know, because that goes back to show you, you know, about yourself as well. Are you culling or are you selling? So you're going to sell a brother a dog that you done know curried out already. A puppy that you know done curried out already. You're going to sell that to somebody. See, real bulldog men and certain bulldog men got standards to where they're not going to sell nobody something that they know is going to disappoint them. Something that they know is not going to come back to look good on their behalf. See, why would I sell you a dog that's going to cur out? Or already curred out before? Oh, what I'm supposed to say? Oh, he's a puppy. First of all, they're not going to even say anything about it. But, oh, he's a puppy. Wait till he get big and then you'll see this or you'll see that. So why even do that? You know, especially if you're selling dogs. Why even do it? Don't really make too much of sense, you know. But like I said, man, everybody not the same. These brothers ruin dogs every day across this country. You know, you can sell these brothers, you thinking, oh, I got the money for the sale. You thinking they're a good dog man or whatever. They get the dog and the dog don't crank up for them. Now they either put the dog down or just don't feed the dog properly. They just don't put their all into the dog. Because it didn't start up when you wanted it to start up. You know? So, man, like I said, at the end of the day, it's going to be to each his own. Whatever you like is what matters. You know what I'm saying? Just know what kind of people you get your dogs from. Know what kind of breeders you get your dogs from, rather. You know what I'm saying? And knowing what their standards is. You know, if you feel like I know one guy, he done showed me already, you know, that he gonna sell the shit that he don't want. You know, and I'm talking about big dogs, bigger dogs. If they're not gonna sell you, and this is the little slogan you always hear, oh, he's not gonna sell you his best. He's not gonna sell you his best. See, a great dog man, when he got a lot of dogs, not gonna sell you no bullshit. You know, and this is the thing, like I said before, everybody can't get the best out of everybody's dog. You know, I can sell the brother down in the chat a dog. I'm talking about a 1.5 year dog, you know, and he can be pretty good, you know, pretty decent. That I know that I can do something with him. He can get him. Don't feed him the way he's supposed to be fed. Don't exercise them the way you're supposed to exercise them. May feed them properly. Just don't take him off the chain. He not socialized properly. He can't make noises around him. He's scary acting. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll be like, oh, what happened to the dog? Or they come back complaining to me saying, man, that dog ain't turned out to be nothing. Yeah, because everybody don't handle the situation the same. The same way I told you, when you look back at a lot of the old bloodline dogs like Jeep, like your Bolio stuff, or your different lines coming from the 90s, the 80s and the 90s, you see a lot of the people that own the dogs are the people that made champion with the dogs. Why is it that Crenshaw got the most champions off of Jeep than anybody else got? Why is that? Because he know how to handle the dog. He know how to handle that particular strain of dogs. He know what to do with that particular strain of dogs. If he got to wait a certain amount of time, he know to wait a certain amount of time. These dogs ain't gonna flip out and turn on until they get about 2 years old. He knows what to do with the dogs that he's running. When he sell them to somebody else, no telling if they got patience, no telling if they even got knowledge, no telling if they got common sense, but they got a couple dollars. That's all that matters, at that particular time. And all these things make the difference when it comes to these puppies, when it comes to these dogs. So like I said, I ask you, will you sell a puppy that done been curved out already? That means you don't care about your customers getting bad product. If that's what you would consider bad product, a puppy that done curved out already. And it's like I said, from you talking about 1 month, 2 months, maybe 3 months. That dog got a long life to live. You treating that dog right, and you take him out the cage with them puppies, or somebody else get them, and they give that dog a whole new life outside of the cage of them puppies. It's gonna be a whole different story when that dog is a grown dog and they take him out to play. Whole different story. You won't even know it's the same dog if you looking at him. Like, damn, I remember he used to get beat up when he was a puppy. Now look at him. Tender love and care make a difference with a lot of these dogs. Now, the older you get with them and you start doing these things, you teaching them bad habits. How to quit, how to turn, how to do this, how to do that. Teaching them bad habits, like I said, in your KEEP program, your workout program. Taking them straight from the treadmill, putting them on the chain. Taking them straight from the treadmill, wiping them down, putting them on the chain. That's the whole purpose of a walk down. It ain't just to cool your dog off before you put him on the chain. It's the memory. You're trying to train his mind to understand. Walk it out, like the song. Walk it out. Walk it out. And there may be a time in this show where he going full throttle, and then he got to walk it out. Walk it out. So when you take him off the meal, you take him for a nice walk, around the block or so. Then he know them legs still got to turn. They may not be turning fast, but they still got to turn. So bad habits be getting taught to these dogs through the workout programs. From the time they leave some of your breeders' houses, they letting them jump each other. You can't control what the puppies do when you're not home or when you're not around. But I done seen brothers post this shit like it's funny. And I done seen brothers post this stuff like these people ain't gonna say you letting dogs fight. That's another thing. When you letting puppies fight on Facebook, somehow or another, it's in y'all head that them folks look at it like, oh, these puppies playing. Them folk got common sense where they can look at these puppies and tell they fighting, and you videotaping it. And somehow, like I said, somehow or another in your brain, you thinking videotaping two puppies fighting is anything different than videotaping two big dogs fighting. Nothing no different, brother. They just ain't hit your tag yet. You know, it's just not your time yet. But if you get the right person to see that video, the right person gonna make it your time. Puppies fighting is no different than grown dogs fighting, especially when you're videotaping it. Now we know, like I said, we know puppies can break off fighting because you got them together. That's different. It's the continuing to allow them to keep fighting what they gonna talk about or what they gonna be speaking about. It ain't the fact that they fighting, it's the fact that you letting them continue and then you're recording it and then you're posting it up like you're bragging about it. Now that's showing automatically that you're advertising puppies for fighting. You about to sell some puppies for fighting. Somebody about to transport a puppy to their house that they looking at you fight the puppies. They about to transfer it to their house, which means they buying a dog for fighting. You can't explain your way out of that. You know? But just remember, man, you can teach these dogs bad habits. You can teach these puppies bad habits. And whatever a puppy does when he's a month, 2 months old, when it comes to whether he's the most aggressive in the litter, or the one that's a little shyish in the litter, doesn't mean that he gonna be a cur when he's an adult dog. You know. So I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Y'all subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Hit that like button before y'all get up out of here. It's your boy PB K9s on the PBC, Pelican Bay's Corner, where I give it to you fair, unbiased, raw, and uncut. We out.